Look, we had a good and robust process today, and Council decided to reject the statement of intent in its current form. That will require the airport to go back and have another look. I think it's probably suffering from one of those documents that has been edited so many times that it's difficult to make a little bit of a sensible trail through it. So perhaps that's part of the problem. But look, the very positive thing for me in all this is the fact that there is a clear mandate now for Council to go and get the social impact assessments done both in the Wakatip and in the Upper Clutha, and there will be no increase in the noise boundary at Queenstown, and there will be nothing done about commercial flights at Wanaka until those pieces of work have been done. And Peter, they are going to involve a lot of public consultation.
Why do you think there is this gap of confidence or trust between the Airport Corporation and the residents? Do you think they've done a good job in communicating with people?
Oh, look, I think generally they have, but I also think there has been some messaging about some of the stuff that they have put out, and look, that happens, so that's the hand they're dealt with. But look, they're good people, and they want to do the right thing by the community. They are owned by Council, and at the end of the day, they will do the best thing for the community.
Because in some ways the buck stops with you, doesn't it? They're governed by the statement of intent. In some ways they should be servants of the Council and therefore in turn servants of the ratepayer. I mean, do you feel in any way stuck between a rock and a hard place? Because clearly you sympathise to an extent with the residents, but you've got your commercial ratepayers to look after who create profits and jobs.
So look, the airport is CCTO, Council Controlled Trading Organisation, and one of the reasons it was set up in the way it was, or it is, by central government is to ensure that those organisations aren't susceptible to political interference, that they can run their businesses as businesses. Now, there is an overarching requirement by the owner, the 75.1% owner, controlling owner, i.e. the council, that the airport acts in a way that is compatible with council wishes. And my belief is that they are, and that's why they are fully cooperative of the pieces of work to be done that are being done. To come back to your point about commercial drivers, I think we've gotten to a level of maturity where the average business person in town now isn't expecting double-digit growth. I've said it before, I'll say it again. A low level of growth in numbers, 1 or 2% per annum, but a much higher level of increase in economic value is what businesses in this district are seeking.
But we've seen new hotels being built all over town. Have you had to give any undertakings to those people taking that risk that this endless supply of tourists isn't going to be reduced and is going to continue to grow?
Oh, absolutely none. They take that risk on their own. No dialogue with council in that regard whatsoever. I would hope what will actually happen here is that perhaps some of the older hotels might start finding themselves recycled for worker accommodation.
That would be a win.
It would be a win.
So it just feels to me as an outside observer that there is something quite serious going on here. I mean, when you talk about it logically, it's people wanting privacy and quality tourism and peace and quiet and less congestion on the roads, and businesses wanting to, push their profits. But it feels like when they talk about 7 million visitors a year, that's off the scale. That's something that perhaps people quite rightly are saying, not in my backyard.
So just to clarify that, there was never talk about 7 million visitors a year. There was talk originally about 7 million passenger movements, which is 3.5 million visitors by year. Currently, we have about 3.5 million visitors coming into the district annually, and around 40% of those come via the airport. So, look, that was a number that was talked about briefly, and very quickly the airport themselves realised that simply wasn't going to fly. They went out to discuss with the community a lower level. They were talking about 5 million passenger movements, and they got a lot of pushback from the community. So the airport have listened to that, council listened to that, and look, that's good feedback, and that'll shape the way things happen. But for us now to say, look, there's a permanent cap on numbers coming through the airport, or it's open slather, I'm just not going there until I see the outcome of these two pieces of work that we're doing, which will then inform everybody what is acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Some of your critics are saying that you've got business in your DNA, which obviously isn't a bad thing if you're a businessman, but as a mayor, do you think you are genuine in listening to people about sustainability and quality tourism and this not being a numbers game?
So, yes, I have business in my DNA. I've been involved in business all my life. However, I have no personal investment in the district other than my home property whatsoever. So I have nothing to gain financially in this. So take that off the table. My desire is to see this district develop in a well-managed, even-handed way where we can keep up with infrastructure. Our infrastructure keeps up with the level of growth that is acceptable, and that we're able to maintain the quality of lifestyle that we have here. You know, I moved here because I love it. I don't want the place bucketed up.
I guess in any negotiation there's room for compromise, and it does feel like there's quite a lot of pressure from outside the district, from the giants like Air New Zealand. If a compromise was to be considered, it seems to be already on the table. The people in Wanaka would accept turboprop aircraft, even welcome having a regional airport that's domestic. And people, I think, in Queenstown could live with the existing level of flights. Is that sort of compromise something that's on your radar, or do you think we need more growth than that?
No, look, I say again, I don't have an opinion on this, and I'm not going to have one until the social impact study is done and the economic impact study is done. I think it's probable in the future an ideal outcome will be an airport of some description in Wanaka that is fit for purpose. I think very excited to see jet services going back into Invercargill last night. And what will happen here? Well, let's see what happens here when we've gone through the process. Just to point on turboprop services into Wanaka, we did of course have that when I was running Christchurch Airport, and through lack of patronage it didn't survive. However, it was the wrong aeroplane at the wrong time of the day. So
these were the
little beach 1900s. However, we need to get our heads around the fact that if we did decide to go turboprop only in Wanaka, that really restricts flights only as far as Christchurch. You're not going to fly to Auckland in an ATR or a Q300.
Is it an option, therefore, to move the second airport away from Wanaka so that jets would be more acceptable and closer to Cromwell? Is that something that makes sense?
Has anybody ever thought about going through the resource consent process to start another airport? You would spend millions and millions without any guarantee of certainty. And look, you've got to start a whole new piece of infrastructure around it. There's 700 people work on Queenstown Airport campus. What about all those folk? How are you going to get them to a new place? And the reality is, no one wants to be airport town.
I guess, as a final question, healthy debate is good for a community, but sometimes it can get a bit nasty. It seems to be bordering on that nastiness now. Are you optimistic that we can get this sorted in a way that roughly keeps both sides happy?
You know, when I made the statement a month ago that the council were asking the airport not to do anything about commercial action in Wanaka or to extend the noise boundary here pending getting those reports, I did actually say what might be required here is a bit of compromise by everybody, and I asked for calm and for people just to take a logical look at this while we go through this process, and that's what I'm asking for. It's concerning that some people are saying they are feeling bullied, that they are feeling put upon and not able to express their own views. And I've had a large number of emails and text messages and phone calls from people who are feeling that way. So I just please say to the district, just let's get this piece of work done and let's all be reasonable about it and see what comes out the other side.